we're discussing the mimer of Pasuk in Mishlei, Toivle Mishta Tamid, and the Ramah says that this Pasuk is the source for making a Sudan Purim Kaddish. Tovle Mishta Tamid. And the question is, so where do you see, it's true it talks about Mishta, but where do you see in this Pasuk a hint at the idea of a Suda Purim Kaddish? It suggests as follows, and my wife actually told me the same thing. On Purim, there's a Suda filled with wine, with food, with dancing, and singing. Most people on Purim Katan, their Suda will not look like the Suda of Purim. Yet, there's a replacement for wine. There's a replacement for the food. There's a replacement for the dancing. That's Tov Leiv. The Gra says Tov Leiv is somebody who has a stavkus. Somebody who's satisfied with what he has. That's called Tov Leiv. Says the Gra, Tov Leiv Mishtatamin. The person who's Tov Leiv, the person who has a good heart. So even when he doesn't have wine, even when he doesn't have expensive food, fancy food, even when there's no singing and dancing, but in his heart, he's good. And if he's Tov Leiv, Mishtatamin, he says the same experience. The person who's in a suit of wine, he's on top of the world. Feels like a king of the universe. But when the wine goes out of his system, when he sobers up, he realizes he's not really king of the universe. Halavai was king of his house. But every man is a king in his home, of his castle. But when his wife gets upset with him for overdoing in his Purim Suda, he's not even king of his home. But the person who has Tov Leiv, he's B'mishta Tamid, the same experience, the same joy and vibrancy and exuberance that he has with the wine, the person who's Tov Leiv, who's happy with what he has. And that person is Mishnah Tamid. And on that the Gra says, the beginning of the Pasuk is Kol Yemei Ani Roy Yemei. Kol Yemei Ani Roy Yemei. The Gra says an Ani is not somebody who's lacking in finances. The Ani could have $1 billion, right? We have quite a few individuals today in the world, 50 billion, 60, 70, 80 billion dollars. Are they happy people? Are they getting divorced, making settlements, right? A person who has nothing and he's happy with that, he has the smallest meager amount, that person is an usher. He's an usher. The person who has $1 billion and he's not happy with it, that person's an ani. Call you may ani roy every single day, right? Every single day, every single hour, every single minute of the person who's not happy with have is roy. It's terrible. Terrible. He has a terrible life. Call you may ani roy. But tov leiv mishtatamid, the person who's happy what he has. And the story in the Gemara Nedarim, Rabbi Akiva, when he was first starting, and he was in incredible poverty. Even though his father-in-law was Kalva Savoy, he had incredible wealth, but he had cut him off, he had vowed not to give him any money. And even though he was in incredible poverty, but he was still happy, he was just not so 100% happy. So Hashem sent Eliyahu and Navi to him and asked him if he could have some straw. And Rabbi Akiva felt good. He said, there's someone else less than me. And he gave him joyfully some straw. Right? The person who's happy with what he have, he can have a wonderful life. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach writes, he said when he was young, growing up, a young boy, he said they would have an egg for breakfast. The whole family, whatever it was, 10 people, they would split one egg. But they were happy with that one egg. He was happy that a couple of bites of egg, that gave him joy. He was happy with it. A person could go to a fancy restaurant and have a 3-egg omelet with cheese and mushrooms and this. He's not happy. There's the restaurants that serve better omelets. Kol yemei ani roy. All the days of an ani are raw. This is the pasuk in Mishlei Tezvav. All the days of an ani are raw, because he's never happy with what he has. But tov leiv mishtatam, the person who's happy with what he has, tov leiv, so everything is life mishta. And this is the makor for the Purim Suda, Purim Katan Suda. Because in the Purim Katan Suda, we generally won't have wine, we won't have lots of food, yeah. We won't have necessarily singing and dancing, maybe a little bit, yeah. But you could still have tov leiv. You can still have a good heart. You can still be happy with what you have, right? Even though it's not with the wine, and not with the food, and not with the singing and dancing. Friends, hopefully. So this is something really to think about, especially Purim Katan. It's 30 days before Purim Gadol. We know there's a halacha, Shloshim Yom L'fnei Chag, 30 days before the Chag starts. We're supposed to start preparing for the Chag. And as we stand on Purim Katan, the 14th of other Rishon, we should start to think about Purim is really all about. Purim is not about outdoing our neighbors in Shalach Manus, about sending the most fancy one, the most expensive one, in a silver tray with the most fancy foods, right? It's not about that, right? The Rambam writes, it's better to give more money to tzedakah than more money to Mishal Manus, right? And if you want to be mahadrin in your mitzvahs Purim, so make a calculation. How much money you spend on Mishal Manos, and how much money you spend on Matanas Avionim, and make the Matanas Avionim more. One of our neighbors once gave us a card from Mishal Manos that said, I donated a certain amount of money in your schos to a charity. That's very nice. I thought it was a very nice idea. She gave food also, a little bit of food also, because that's the mitzvah sayom, to send manos. But that's tov lev mishtatamid. Have a good heart. Always be happy with what you have. Always want to give to other people. And if you do that, then you'll be happy. Tamid. Tov lev mishtatamid all the time, 24/7. Your whole life will be one big party. Hashem should help us get there on this day of Purim Katan. You should celebrate it properly. Make a suda. Enjoy yourself. But have simple food. Wine, not wine. Meat, not meat. Dancing and singing. It just doesn't matter. That's not important. Remember, the most important thing about Purim, which is coming up in a month from now, is Tov Lev, to have a good heart. And all the mitzvahs Purim, Mishal Manos, Matanas Avionim, Megillah, Suda, they're all coming to this thing. They're all coming to this goal of having a good heart. Amen. Ken Ratzon.